Welcome to the Full-Time Fantasy Podcast, presented by the Fantasy Football World Championship, home to the industry's most accurate rankings.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to the Full-Time Fantasy Podcast. I am your host, as always, Adam Krautwurst. And with me tonight is a drafting friend of mine, someone who's a legend in the high stakes and high volume fantasy football industry. And that is, you all know him as Fozzy Dog. What is up, Fozzy, my friend?
How we doing? Good to see you, Adam, as always. Hello, everyone.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Fozzy and I did a draft together, aka against each other over the weekend, Memorial Day weekend. And so this was fun. I thought I would bring him on to talk about, some of the teams, some of the draft strategy, the vibes kind of, to me, it's Memorial Day is like opening weekend of like redraft season for me. You know what I mean? Kind of dive in there. Not that I haven't been doing drafts already, but for sure. But everyone who's in the chat watching the show, if you say Fozzy5, throw that in the chat. Fozzy5, F-O-Z-Z-Y 5. You have a chance to win a $55 credit at the FFWC. It's a $55 credit. Throw Fozzy5 in the chat, and on the Discord after the boss man Scott Atkins will spin the wheel, and we'll pull a name there. Pull a name. So that's exciting. Listen, dude, you're making people money already. People love you, Fozzy. Come on.
That's right. I'm ready to dive into this and talking about some of these players in this draft. I think we had an interesting one. And like I said, Memorial Day weekend was a great weekend to draft and get some things started. And a lot of interesting teams in this one. For sure.
Oh, yeah, a lot of interesting teams, including yourself, including your team, which we'll talk about here in a second. But I also want to talk about the Fantasy Football World Championships at Circa. The main event. The draft that we did over the weekend was a mid-stakes, the Las Vegas Championship Circa. But the main event, FFWC, you can do those online. If you register now, the teams are at a massive discount. The new May Madness discount right now is $1,600, whereas normally the teams are $1,925, $1,925. You get a discount on those for multiple teams. 7 teams, 8 teams, 9 teams. The more teams you do, the bigger discount you get. I know I take advantage of that, Fozzy. How about
Excellent deal. Excellent deal.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So yeah, make sure you guys get in today. Get in before the end of May. For multiple teams, you'll get a big discount. Fozzy, let's talk about the Vegas experience though, with Circa and what Scott puts on, what Scott and Ian put on with the FFWC.
Well, in my opinion, there's nothing close to it. The way you're treated out there, it's in the right spot. The venue's in the right spot. Scott and Ian take care of you completely. You get to talk to other players like me, you, other really good players. I mean, there's a lot of them out there, but you get to bounce your knowledge off them. Sitting poolside watching the Thursday game, the Monday night experience, pool party, the catering. It's just a top-notch experience. You get the biggest sports book there when you're there. Everything that you want is at that event.
Yeah, completely agree. Circa does it the best. FFWC does it the best. I've been to all of them. I know you have too. And it's by far the best. It's, open bar, the parties, open bar, the food isn't, they spare no expenses. And now we're getting a Thursday night party and a Friday night party this year. I'm staying all the way through till Monday. I haven't done that in a long time. So I'm staying Thursday to Monday. That's going to be so much fun. And yeah, you get to see everybody like you. I didn't, you kind of lose track of everyone. And then I remember the first thing I walked into, I got there, I went up to the suite where there was a draft going on up above there at Circa, and there you were in there drafting. Got to say hi to you, got to say hi to Ian and everybody. So it's a really, really cool time.
Yeah, I mean, just when you're at home, you got that experience, but it's nothing like an experience when you go to something like this. If you're going to spend your money, this is hands down the way to spend it, and if your time. I'm going every year. I'm not missing it.
Oh yeah, no, I'm going every year too. So for sure. But Yeah, awesome, dude. So yeah, let's lock into this draft board here as soon as I change my banner. But talk to me. Were you planning on doing this draft? Like I know, I don't know if you plan your season out, how far out you go, but kind of what were you planning on doing? I know Scott kind of messaged me and was like asking me to get in, which I love to do. Listen, I plan on doing so many drafts and then Scott always lures me into more, but I loved it. It was kind of my kickoff to the season as far as redraft's concerned. And, so I guess let me ask you first, do you have a preferred draft position yet?
I do a lot of drafts, and so slot position really doesn't matter to me much anymore. Of course, I'd like to get my fair share of the first start, but I like to draft from the ends more than I do the middle at times. So I don't mind the long wait. I like to go after my guys, so it doesn't matter to me if I'm at the first, second, third. I think you can build the right draft most of the time if you're patient.
Yeah, I've been in plenty of drafts with you where we can bid on our own draft slot, and you're always the guy who wants 12 there. But yeah, no, like you said, I'm in a ton of drafts too, and I really don't have that preferred spot unless I'm in like a 5K or a 10K entry fee where I really want to get my guys. That's only when that's the only spot that I really care about, like what draft spot I am. But
the middle's always good. The middle's always good. Everybody likes that. You can hopefully the value comes down in each direction where somebody missed stuff and you can clean up in the middle spot. So the middle, but if I wasn't like directly right in the middle, I don't really care for the other couple of spots early, a couple of just either give me the end caps or directly in the middle, I guess for me.
Yeah, no, I get it. So here you were, you drafted out of the 10 spot. I was out of the 6 spot, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spot. I'm team name cheating Celtics. Thank you, Scott. Scott's a big Pacers fan. I'm a Celtics guy. And, it was just one of those series where it just went our way, I guess. I mean, we are the best team in the NBA, but still. So I actually, Faiz, I don't know if this ever happened to you. I almost timed out a couple times because I'm normally looking for my name. Normally I'm like draft guy is my name in these rooms. And so I'm a lot of times I'm waiting and I see cheating Celtics. I'm like, oh my God, I forgot that it was me. And I almost freaking timed out.
That does happen to me every once in a while. We'll use so many different names so that the guys that know some of our habits don't see that we're in that draft. And then later we'll put our name back up. And I'll be looking there and I completely forget what name I use. And all of a sudden I'll look back over. I'm like, oh, I'm on the clock. Gotta get going.
Yep. That's absolutely right. So talk to me about your team. You started, in this format, you have to start 3 receivers. It's 2 running backs, 3 receivers, and 2 flex. You can start up to 5 receivers in this format. I don't think you had the strategy of going in to take 4 running backs early.
I didn't. I really didn't.
But go ahead, talk about it.
Sorry. Yeah, but you're right. I didn't really do that. And then a 3 wide arm set like that where you got to start 3.
Yep.
But it's an 11 total start of all players and defense and kickers and everything. I wanted to try something a little bit different. If people that know the way I draft, I won't do standard drafts all the time. I like to put something up different that most people won't. So everybody was going wide receiver heavy, but I feel like I put up all my running backs or first and second round picks in normal leagues. So I'm going to fill in the flex positions. I'm going to fill in the main starter positions. I got their backups. I thought, or I was hoping that some good receivers would fall.
Yeah.
Some decent ones fell to me that I think got some good stuff. Some of the rookies, some in-betweeners. Maybe Jackson Smith and Jigma might take an injury on the team for him to overclaim on the spots, but I think he could be an outbreak player this year. So it just depends. I like the way I thought I got lucky with the way the tight end and the quarterback fell.
Sure. Yeah. A lot of times, and again, you play on so many different spots, so many different sites, and they each are their own kind of war and battle in the draft room. If you go in wanting to go heavy at running back, this is the draft room to do it in because a lot of these receivers go. I was shocked to see, Breece Hall go 2 to Team Miller in a room where, again, normally when you have to start 3 receivers, it goes pretty receiver heavy. But I agree with you, man. Like Bijan at the 10. I'm a big Garrett Wilson guy, so I could certainly have seen doing that. But Barkley and Jacobs and Henry, I mean, no one's going to touch you at running back, and you can start all of them, 2-2. It's just having to chase those receivers. And a lot of times I find that, like, man, that looks good. The running backs look incredible. But a lot of times if you're thin at receiver and you start with 3 and you get an injury or 2 or something like that, you can really, be pressing there.
Yeah, you can. And as many drafts as I'm going to do, I figure 1 or 2 of these running back heavy ones aren't going to hurt me, So the opportunity rose. I seen the one running back there. It came back the night before. I was doing a running back heavy site. So I think that was still just a little bit in me from the previous draft before. And I just liked the way they kept. So the next one came back, and it's just like, man, I just might as well just throw them on there instead of taking a 15th, 12th, 20th receiver when I could still take one of those high backs. I feel like that the mid tiers of the receivers that were coming through, all the ones that I put on there were just as strong as the ones that were around there. So it wouldn't matter if I grabbed a couple of those extra running backs.
Yeah. Talk to me about Derrick Henry. So you got him in the 4th round. I love Derrick Henry this year. I mean, maybe you don't have to like dive too much into your strategy, but I just think, is he as good as Gus Edwards? Yes. Gus Edwards had 16 touchdowns last year. Like, I think he's going to fall in the end zone. Lamar Jackson lost like 25 pounds. Like, he's slimming down. They're not using him at the goal line. So I think Ravens have wanted a back like Henry their whole lives. So unless Henry gets hurt, I feel like he's an absolute smash player.
Well, just the fact that he went to another running team in the first place is great for his fantasy value.
Yeah.
And will he get the ball thrown to him as much as he did in Tennessee or more? Probably about the same. Maybe they throw it out to him a little bit more. I hope that they do with maybe they trust him. I always thought he could catch kind of decent. I always thought they should throw him the ball more. But,
yes. Yep.
I'm not the coach either.
Yeah.
But I always thought they should throw him the ball more. But I think he's going to feast over them. The fastest they fall, like you said, I think he's going to fall in the end zone and off a lot. And I don't think he's lost much speed or anything else. So I think he's still good in the tank for another year. And getting a guy like that just as far down, I mean, there's a lot of different running backs in this one. There's some even running backs that were going in the later rounds that are really worth that I have my eye on too. I don't want to give up too much of the guys that I like later, but there's a lot of running backs this year, but I also think that the wide receivers this year have gotten so good that there are mid-tier. There's not like a huge fall sometimes. Of course, you always got your top 10, 5 guys, but any of these rookies could pop like Nakua did last year. So a guy like Ladd out of the slot might not be a bad guy to have after all those running backs. But we're going to wait and find out and see if a couple of those rookies can pop enough. Those rookies don't do nothing, then this team won't do nothing.
Yeah, and that's fair. You know what I mean? Like, when you go with a heavy build like you did, the heavy running back build, like, you need stuff to break right for you at the receiver position. You know what I mean? Either you have to draft perfectly, or you need things to break right for you. So I mean, I like the Brian Thomas pick and the Ladd McConkey pick. They could lead their team in targets for sure. And at that point, you almost don't even care. Like, player takes don't even matter really at that point. You got to take 5 or 6 receivers in the next 7 or 8 rounds, or you're in big trouble. And the player doesn't even matter at that point. Almost, is that kind of how you look at it?
Yeah. I mean, I want to plug in 3 of those receivers, run the running backs every time. If I ever got in trouble, I want to throw in Musgrave or an extra tight end or something to one of the flex spots to help average some stuff out and hope that tight end has a big day on a bye week or something if I need it. But it's all about getting to the end of the year, and hopefully these rookies by the end of the year have gotten themselves underneath themselves and they're ready to play. And you only need them for that small stretch at the end of the year to bring in home the money.
Yep. No, you're completely correct. Yeah, for sure. Before we dig into quarterback here again, everyone who's watching, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Hit that like, hit the subscribe for full-time fantasy, and throw in the chat Fozzy5 for a chance to win $55 credit at the FFWC here. They'll spin the wheel in the Discord afterwards. Let's talk about Dak Prescott. I know you mentioned you were excited to get him QB9. Is he QB9 for you, or do you like him a little bit more? What's your vibe there?
I think he's going to have I don't think they're going to have much choice but to throw.
Yeah.
So I do like him. There's any of the quarterbacks from about him on up, like some bye weeks kind of screw up like every year where a couple of these players want to go depending on how the championship rounds are before they go to the tournament bye week 3, to the run for the points.
Yep.
So it seems like Taylor or somebody's always getting the bad bye week at the end of the year.
I know.
So that's one of the reasons why I stayed away from Jonathan Taylor that time. Not that he's not going to be an incredible player all year. I just don't like where his bye week landed. Unfortunately, every year we seem to have week 14 or 13 ate up with a bunch of bye weeks instead of week 12 or another week where they could be putting them in.
Yeah.
So we'll always have that struggle probably. But so even though I might have even wanted to take one of these other backs, but it pushed me in having to take somebody else or another wide receiver that I might have wanted to take earlier, but I just didn't care for the bye week, so I went ahead and ran it this way this time.
Yeah, no, I get it. And when you play as many drafts as you and I do, or even you, like I do a bunch, and you crush me. You can do stuff like this. You know what I mean? Take the value that falls. I mean, we both know a guy named Ched Schroeder, who's one of the best fantasy football players of all time. He doesn't even start drafting until August. And his strategy is just take the value. Just take the value everywhere. Every time there's value, just take it. And so, worry about player takes later or whatever. So
my advice is start drafting now and catch the value throughout the year and see it go up and see it go down and get the guys at the right time.
Yeah. I agree with that. And I also think I can't wait till August. Like that's absurd. That's absurd. Like he must have everyone lock his account out because I could never wait until August. But yeah, no.
But as you look here, you'll see that a lot of the people were wide receiver heavy. So if you take a chance with a 3 wide receiver set like this, like you said, you better hope some good wide receivers. And those were the ones that came around to me. There was a couple other ones I wish that could have fell a little bit better, but I think I could have done more so wide receiver also. So for what happened for this one that I took, I think it went bad. But I like some of these other ones that did go wide receiver heavy. It just depends on how they caught their running backs and stuff too, and where they went.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you that. I was going to compare. You got your elite. You're gonna rock out at running back, and you got a quarterback you love, and you got Kittle at tight end 9 is pretty sweet, especially considering he can get hot for those 2 or 3 weeks. Now he gets injured a lot, and the receiving room got even more crowded there with the rookie that they drafted. But if he gets hot at the right time for you, you got a really good. You don't need a ton out of your receivers, but comparing now that you're looking back at the draft you just mentioned, teams that went receiver heavy, there was the Memorial Fox and Ruthless did the opposite of what you did. How do you feel about looking at their teams? Are you comfortable doing what they did? Do you wish you could have pulled that off? What are you thinking?
Well, I do like what Memorial Fox did. That happens to be another buddy of ours or so. I don't know if I should say, but that's Swiper's team. And he's an excellent top tier drafter for sure by far. He's really good. And so if you see the way he got his stuff, he went after those receivers really hard with the first one and got himself some good running backs to go with it. So he waited. You start to get down to some of these back running backs, and all of a sudden you're hoping on a Madison, you're hoping on a Dobbins. Is Spears sharing with Pollard or not? Moss.
Yep.
He had a great year last year, but are you chasing that? Is he a 1-year pony, or does Moss actually get a stand for being the first guy and he deserves all the drafting that he gets this year? I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I like what Memorial Fox did.
He's one of those type of players. He's one of those type of players that if he has a year like last year with those receivers, Moss will be a great player right there to have.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, they're in an elite offense, right? He proved to be able to carry the workload last year. I mean, he even when Jonathan Taylor got healthy, he still kept him off the field. it was like a 50-50 split. It was freaking crazy. It was so frustrating.
You just wonder why the Bills want to get rid of him. Then all of a sudden he plays like that, and he couldn't get a snap. It felt like sometimes over at the Bills, and now all of a sudden he's playing like that, and you're like, wow.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see what he does this year. I really am curious to see how he does this year.
Yeah.
It could be different with offensive lines too. He could get over to the Bengals and kill it or not. I don't know. It's going to be your kids.
But here's the thing though, Fozzy. He's a really nice 0 RB pick because he's not relying on him. Aaron Jones, DeAndre Swift, Zach Moss, Tajay Spears, Dobbins. He needs like one or two of those guys to hit. Like not even two because he's relying on his receivers to carry him, right? So, and there's waivers and there's injuries. Like, it's almost like he did what you did at receiver. Just throw a dart at a player, and if it works out, great. If it doesn't, that's okay because you took 7 or 8 swings at the running back spot. So,
you got a few receivers that are probably going to get 100 balls or so apiece for sure. Devo's probably staying in 49ers, I'm pretty sure by now. I'm not positive on that. Not positive on that, but I'm thinking they'll probably keep him and Ayuk there.
Yeah, there's some, and I think he got some pretty good value too, Memorial, at receiver. Now I see you took Smith and Jigba and Brian Thomas over Hollywood Brown. Was Hollywood Brown ever a thought in your mind there?
I like Hollywood Brown. I think Mahomes is going to throw the ball around a lot.
Yep.
He could be more important at the beginning of the year before Rice comes back.
Yeah.
Once Rice comes back and then the rookie Xavier starts to maybe pan out, he could also start to take it back. And then can he stay healthy?
Right.
But he could be one of those players that just kind of runs right through medium under this stuff, and he ends up wanting to play him more than Cooper or somebody. If Mahomes starts to like him and starts to throw the ball to him all over the place, then that's the guy.
Yeah. I agree with you, man. I think Mahomes is a nice pick because he's got all these weapons now. I mean, Rice, the rookie receiver, Marquise Brown, Kelsey still but Mahomes isn't he's not a kingmaker at quarterback when it comes to these receivers. He's not like Matt Stafford. He's not like Jared Goff, who lock in on these dudes and make them kings.
Yeah, he's going to spread it around a little bit. You want to still love Kelsey on top of it before everybody. Yep. Kelsey will getting a little older and have his bigger and little games. And when they get to the end championships, they maybe pump him the ball some more so they don't run him down. But Kelsey won't have to be the man when you got all this speed around him now and the 2 rookies if Rice gets back. And depending on how long Rice's suspension is, right? Is Rice getting 4, 6, 8?
Yeah. I mean, one of those things he might not get suspended at all. We'll see. That'll be interesting. But Marquise Brown, again, wide receiver 47. I mean, how can you? I mean, you can say whatever you want about him. Wide receiver 47. I think that's a fine pick.
I think so too. I mean, it's his 5th receiver.
Right. Correct. Yeah. I just I've been thinking a lot about the situation in Kansas City, and I saw that you passed on Brown, and he got him as his 5th receiver. I was just wondering kind of what your take on that was. But yeah, before we go a little further, I should even mention some of these guys that were in the draft. Tony Colavita, Andrew Palermo, big time drafter. Evangelo Lilas, another big time drafter. Lilas, Rock Frost, Mark Deming, Jason Miller, Jerry Bryant. I mean, man, this room even was loaded. With talent, with guys who are locked in for sure. And so I respect everyone that's in this room, which makes it even tougher to draft.
Definitely a strong room of drafters.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So let's talk a little bit about what I was trying to do here. So I picked out of the 6th spot. And I was happy to take Justin Jefferson in the 6th spot on a league again where you have to start 3 receivers. I was definitely going to go receiver, and I like him over Jamar Chase this season. You're probably going to have to make a lot of those decisions, Fozzy. Where are you right now? Do you have any mix up in the top 4? I mean, right now I go Lamb, Hill, Jefferson, Chase. Where do you stand with those guys?
I've got, from all the drafts that I've been doing, everybody got Jefferson going later. I think they're worried about the quarterback position. He's going to get pumped with balls, whoever the quarterback is.
Right.
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, I think he's.
I think like three of those guys right there are pick the one you like the best, because they're all going to have about the same year, almost, in my opinion. They're going to not disappoint you unless an injury or something came up. So all three of those guys, I definitely got Hill and Lamb ahead of all those other three: Chase, Jefferson, Monroe. But
yeah, pick your
if
poison.
Burrow stays healthy, I like Chase ahead of him. St. Brown is going to get a lot of targets, but they're starting to get more weapons there. So he'll lose a few targets probably now. And then Jefferson just might get peppered. So Jefferson should be ahead of St. Brown.
Yeah.
I think Nakua and St. Brown could be the toss-up player. Which one you want to take?
Sure. The thing about Jefferson, like Chase hasn't really been that target hog monster. He gets hurt more than I would like. He gets hurt often, and he doesn't demand a ton of target. Like Jefferson is such a target hog. Chase is amazing, but they get T. Higgins there, and they just don't pepper him with as many targets as they do Jefferson.
You won't have Hawk around for the first part of the season, so he's going to get you even more targets to get you some wins at the beginning of the season, at least.
Right, right, exactly. So I lean Jefferson there. I'll get my shots on Chase, but I like Jefferson there. So coming back around, wide receiver 13, I took Marvin Harrison. I like him again. Target hog, I think, out there in Arizona. What are your thoughts on Marvin Harrison coming out? I took him as wide receiver 13. I've gotten him, as late as wide receiver 17 in some drafts I've been doing. And I kind of took him right after. Like I would have taken Adams if he was there. I would have taken London if he was there. I would have taken Harrison over Pittman for sure, and Olave. So what are your thoughts on Harrison?
Harrison is going to be that no-brainer rookie to pick.
Yeah,
he has everything pointing towards him. He's going to get all the looks, all the passing. Everything's going to run through him his rookie year. He by far is the top receiver in my opinion over the other two. Not just because of landing plays. I just think he's got he got all the extra gears. He got the talent, the catching, everything with the guy should pan out. So I think he's fine with where he goes. I think somebody might have taken him above Adams even. I think you got a good pick with him coming there. But that's the thing with those three receivers coming through there too. I think your team's fine if you put Adams in there or Evans in there.
Right. Right. Yeah. No, it was a nice little spot there.
But Harrison's probably going to get more catches than Evans still is too, though. And they're going to pump a lot. Like you said, I think they're going to pump a lot of balls to Harrison.
Yep. In late season, he's got a nice schedule, and he's got that dome, the good weather. So I really like that too. And again, I think he only fell to me because I think Pittman and Olave went a little earlier than normal. I mean, Olave went much earlier than normal, and I think Pittman did too, as far as wide receiver 9 and wide receiver 10. So I was
I got Olave going later after those guys.
Yeah.
Even after Evans, I would stick him down by Ayuk or even past that.
Yep.
Quarterback situation and how they do this stuff. He's going to have a better year than last year, but
is that Ayuk you're talking about?
Olave. Olave's just not on my. If he's there, I take him. Sometimes he's not on my must-have radar, though.
Yeah, he's not on mine either. Like the spots in drafts where he goes, I'd rather not. I'd rather take a running back or another receiver. Like he usually starts that like next tier of receiver. Usually it goes Wilson, like Adams, London, Harrison, and then you get to Olave and Pittman. And I would, Olave, Pittman, Ayuk. I would just much rather have like a different player than Olave. I just think it's, the quarterback situation, the coach is terrible. The offense is a little questionable. So I think you're just projecting there. Like I would rather take a guy, honestly, I'd rather take a guy like Derrick Henry. Normally Henry goes in that range, like the 2-3 turn. Like I'd rather have Derrick Henry because I know I'm getting double-digit touchdowns out of him than a guy like Chris Olave.
So 2-3 turn, I would say I got some good value if you make it all the way back to me over here.
For sure. For sure. So I took Achane over Henry and Jacobs only because I just think that he has that Jamal Charles in him. He has that ability to blow the top off the slate and have just insane games that nobody else can have. Not nobody, but like people outside of the top 2 running backs can have. So I went with Achane there. Again, there'll be other times where I take Derrick Henry there. And I also passed on Kyren Williams. I'm off. I mean, I'm off of Kyren Williams this year. He's fine at the 3-4 turn. He's fine. But I just think that he's not that good of a player. I think he was force-fed. I think he's not a workhorse. He missed 4 games last year with an injury. Like, I don't think he can last.
People worried about his foot.
Yeah, I don't think he can last, and I would rather not.
Coral could push him for some time. If not, by the end of the season, possibly take it. But it's his job to lose, though. He's in the driver's seat.
It is. And I just think that, too, like, I'm not saying he's going to lose it outright, but Corum is a better prospect coming out. People didn't even think Kyren Williams was anything good at all. After the combine he ran super slow. Like, people didn't even want him. Then he gets hurt in the opening game against the Bills like 2 years ago. People forgot about him. And so I'm just going to pay attention. Watch the tea leaves there for the Rams and see, again, at the 3-4 turn.
He ran super slow.
Yeah, at the 3-4 turn, he's fine. But I like Derrick Henry over him for sure. And I like Josh Jacobs over him. But so I ended up going Achane. I probably would have gone Waddle if Waddle would have made it. But I'm getting
I like your A-Chain pick there because he can put up he's gonna in that Miami offense, he has a good chance to put up a lot of big points there. Now he's gonna split a lot of carries still with Moser. He's not gonna be a complete number one, or maybe he splits it with the
rookie.
The rookie, but you got him too. So if the forbidden happened, you still got a player that's going to be very much involved. If not by the end of the year, being a second anyhow.
Yeah, I got Wright as RB46, Jalen Wright. I love him too, and I think that Achane isn't a workhorse either, but I don't need him to be. He's very efficient, and the offense is so good.
He's explosive. He's going to have
so smart. Yeah, for sure. Talk to me about Malik Neighbors because I've been getting a lot of flack lately for taking Neighbors.
I'm not going to give you no flack for taking Neighbors. I like where you took Neighbors, and Pickens might have been the only one that I would have taken Pickens or Neighbors possibly there. Let's see here. Let me look at that again.
And maybe Higgins too. Higgins is a decent guy in there, but I just wide receiver.
Neighbors there. I like Neighbors there because they're going to throw him the ball a lot. Daniel Jones is going to end up playing. He's going to be all right. And he's going to finally have a number one receiver that they're not trying to force into a number one. If Waller doesn't play, which is who knows what he's going to do. But even if he does, he's probably going to be hurt.
Right.
He's going to get – I think he's another one. I think he's another player that got really lucky in the draft and fell onto a team that's going to try to pump him some balls at least.
Listen, the guy's awesome. There were very respected analysts that had him up there as good or maybe even better than Marvin Harrison. He goes to a team that people forget the Giants' skill position players were the worst you'll ever find as far as receivers are concerned, ever on an NFL team, ever. Brian Daboll is a smart, good offensive coordinator. He was in Buffalo when they brought in Stephon Diggs and they pumped him with targets there. Malik Neighbors is a better prospect and will have a better future than Stephon Diggs. I mean, as a prospect, as everything, every measurable, every number, Neighbors is better than Stephon Diggs. I know he's only a rookie, but if he stays healthy, he's going to get 130 targets there. And Daniel Jones, when he was healthy and they had decent weapons, he was fine. I mean, people act like nobody can throw to the weapons that they had in New York last year for the Giants. So I think
I'm curious what they're going to do with their running back position.
Yeah.
That's their – I mean, Singletary is going to be a fine back over there. Will the rookie push him and actually surprise and take him over? Or Singletary, the man the whole year, is at a split now? I'm kind of curious to see at the end of the year what the end stat for the running backs on that team is.
Yeah, I think Yeah, I think it's Singletary right now. Again, another player that came from Buffalo and Brian Dable. I mean, he had a pit stop in Houston, but Brian Dable had him in Buffalo as a rookie. And so he knows the offense. Dable trusts him. I think he's a sneaky little pick. Just like Zach Moss is, like a guy that can just earn the coach's trust and grind it out there. So I like Singletary too, but I just think Neighbors, again, back to Neighbors, I take him as a wide receiver 3. He's wide receiver 27. Like, I think he could certainly be as good as Deebo Samuel. Samuel's not going to get anywhere near the targets that Malik Neighbors is going to get. Even Waddle's not going to, even Diggs there's 3 receivers there that he has to compete with. Like, Neighbors could be awesome. And I just want to bring it up because I've been taking him lately in this range, and I've been kind of getting some flack, like, oh, the quarterback isn't good. The offense isn't good. The offense, they're gonna force feed him the ball, for sure. Josh,
you did cover the rookies there on those 3.
Right. I know. I don't know.
I just dropped my eyes down a little bit further. I was like, oh, you even got the next one down there, don't you?
Yeah, a doomsday. Listen, they just keep falling there. Wide receiver 48. But yeah, I wanted to get my tight end there, elite tight end. I think Pitts is gonna have a bounce back year. Josh Allen's my guy, obviously, at quarterback. And I wanted to get him before the run started. And of course, it went Hurts, I got Allen, and then 3 quarterbacks went off the board before it got back to me. So I'm happy. I was happy to be able to do that. Get Pitts as tight end 7 behind Ingram. I was happy about that. And then I just went with this. I went, I kind of went, hero RB with HM, but then I went crazy. Ford, Wright, Herbert, Roshan Johnson, McLaughlin. I just loaded up at the tight end.
You're definitely going to be able to start Ford and HN right off the bat with no problem.
Yep.
And then throughout the rest of the year, you'll be able to wait and see if any of those other guys come alive and play the wire and stuff too. So, I mean, Herbert's might be feasible. Figure out which ones there because you got a couple of those same guys.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. I'm just going to work the wire. You know how this thing goes, man. You work the wire if one of these guys. And again, I've got the handcuff there with Wright and Achane. Like, if one of those guys, if here's the thing. Here's why I like taking Achane and Wright. It's not even a handcuff thing. Mostert's like 33. If and when Mostert goes down, now you've got both backs in Miami and they're splitting touches. I could start both of them, Achane and Wright, and they could both light it up. I mean, look what Mostert and Achane did together last year.
What was it, 17 touchdowns or so Moser had?
Yeah.
Or was it 14, 17 like that?
It might have been more. Honestly, he was incredible. Like, that offense is just so good, and Wright is so fast and explosive. So, I really like doing that. But yeah, that's kind of the strategy that I took. I do like to go receiver heavy in these drafts, but I'll take the value that comes. And it looks like in the FFWC this year, I'm going to love the 3rd round running backs. I'm feeling a lot of times I'm going to take Achane, ETN, Jacobs, Henry. I'll take in there too. Pacheco in the 4th is wonderful. So I don't think I'm going to have a problem going receiver, and then hitting those running backs. As long as I'm not in a draft with you where you're taking all the freaking backs.
Well, like I said, that wasn't the beginning of the plan. But as they did start to fill for me, I was just like, they're falling, they're here, and they're the top ones. We're just going to put them on the team. I wanted that top running back over 15th, 20th receiver.
Yeah.
But then also when you get down there that, I've really got to hope that those other receivers do something or that team's is going to stall out.
Speaking of receivers doing something, talk me back in on Quentin Johnston. He's just a guy like – is it just hey, I got to throw a dart because I need another receiver? You got Ladd McConkey, like
I got Ladd, and so Quentin was there. The other guys, are left. They're gone. Keenan Allen and Mike Williams both split, so he's the only one there. And he was He was the first round, right? First round pick. Yeah. So he got some talent. He just had a really crappy rookie year that had 2 guys ahead of him that were getting more of the balls. So one of those guys is going to get some balls thrown to him. So I took them both.
Yeah, that's I like that last part that you said there. Like, listen, I just if I can get the wide receiver 1 for the Chargers, now they're going to run way more. They're going to
Definitely gonna run.
I think they're going to be more efficient in the pass game, and you only need one of them to hit because you're loaded at running back, tight end, and quarterback. Hey, if I can get a wide receiver 2 or a wide receiver, even a wide receiver 3 out of these 2 guys, I like that strategy. As far as Quentin Johnson, the player, I mean, he had the perfect run out last year. He was healthy. Keenan Allen was hurt. Mike Williams was out for the year, and he still couldn't do anything. That makes me nervous. But if he's terrible, Led Nakaki's probably going to be good. So, you got that. That's how that thing goes. And that's a really cool draft strategy too.
So I thought that helped the running back heavy team on that one, actually.
For sure.
But there's other players you can try to do something with that with, but that's just the way that one felt. So I seen it. So I was like, let's scoop up on that and see what it does.
For sure. For sure. All right. Yeah, we're doing well here. Doing well here. Everybody, again, throw in the chat. Thanks for watching. Throw in the chat. Like, subscribe. Fozzy5. Throw it in there for a chance to win $55 credit to the FFWC, our favorite place to play over here. Going live in Vegas in a couple of months. Dude, it's right around the corner. I mean, I'm already...
I was already looking at the venue stuff, looking at my rooms and stuff for there and stuff, getting it all booked up. I've got it all pretty much planned out for the stay. I'm going for a week, and I'm going to enjoy it.
Yeah, dude. I'm going both my sons' birthdays are in September. One of my sons' birthday is September 11th. So a lot of times it's hard for me to get out there for the full time. But I think his birthday falls on a Tuesday or a Wednesday this year. So I'm like, I'm going out for Thursday to Monday. Sit and relax on Sunday at Circa, the best sports book in the world. I mean, go ahead.
You got the huge pool. You got the huge big screens. I mean, what, 6 stories tall or something like that. You're outside. The atmosphere, everybody's young. The weather's great. You got a drink in your hand. You're drafting all weekend. There's
nothing better.
Oh, man, with all the hot girls and scenery walking around you. It's everything you need to go drafting with.
Nothing.
It's the reason why you go to that's the best place to go.
Best place to go. 99 more sleeps. Roy says 99 more sleeps until Thursday night kickoff. 2 parties this year. It's going to be interesting. The drafts, with the free looks on a lot of these guys, you draft now, you don't have to start them because you get the free look with the Thursday and the Friday night for those tournaments. It's going to be interesting, the drafting with the one night. Now we get 2 free looks for Thursday night games and Friday night games. It's gonna be super fun for sure. All right, Fozzy, before we get off the line here, thanks again for joining me. Any other picks, any other teams that surprised you here, maybe for team build, or maybe guys went earlier than you thought? I talked about a couple already. I know Olave.
Godfather did this decent.
I'm sorry?
Godfather did well.
Godfather, yeah, 12, yeah. Garrett Wilson, who I absolutely love. Garrett Wilson is a guy that I could see like my like kind of crazy but not crazy like take is that I could see him finishing as a top 2 receiver this year. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is a Hall of Fame quarterback. Wilson was a 1,000-yard receiver with the worst quarterback you've ever seen in your life. And so I think he was my guy. Another guy I was overweight on last year, and losing Rodgers freaking crushed me. But
I had so many Garrett Wilsons, and I was just like, but he was still viable. They got him the ball. He wasn't bad. It wasn't a complete disappointment, but what he could have possibly been. We'll see if that is what. I'm having a little hard time pulling the trigger a couple of times because I've just had that bitter taste of not having Rodgers as last year. But Rodgers should make him pretty good. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. The only thing I don't like, I'll be honest with you, and I kind of pay attention to stuff like this or whatever. Like, I hate that him and Sauce Gardner battle to the death during training camp. I hate, like, those two are like, I know it's iron sharpening iron, but can you just chill? I don't want Garrett Wilson getting hurt on a jam at the line. He twists his knee. Like, just take it easy, guys. Take it easy.
It's a long season. We need them all year.
We need them all year. My God. I like what the Godfather did. JT there. I like Barkley over JT. The bye week, like you said before, JT's kind of wearing down. He had so many, I forget what the numbers, it's so many touches in college. It's like he was almost like a 5th-year player when he came into the NFL with all the touches he had at Wisconsin. And so that made me a little bit nervous. I like Metcalf, wide receiver 22. He's been between wide receiver 20 and wide receiver 24. the last 3 seasons. So you're getting him kind of right at his floor there, and just loading up there. I don't like Connor. Mostert can be a little scary again. It's 33 years old, but you can make up for running back later. Like, you can hit the waiver wire.
There's a lot of trade over in the running back position. So, like you said, there's 3 or 4 or 5 of these players that we're looking at that we see on a team that looks really good. I've never finished a season with half the team. There's always, no matter how good a team, there are 3, 4, or 5 players dud out or something happens.
Oh, more. Yeah, it's going to be more than that. I mean, injuries dude, there's been more, there's been more injuries the last 2 or 3 years in fantasy football than ever before. I left. So my highest on running back last year was J.K. Dobbins. Bro, I didn't get out of Vegas before I lost him for the freaking year. I remember sitting at the Circa, got the drinks going. Okay, it's time to settle in, watch some NFL football. Bro, I didn't even get a refill before I lose my number 1 own running back for this season. He already scored a touchdown. He was about to score another one. Gus Edwards scored 16 of them. Like, Dobbins was about to go crazy. But yeah, you know how that works, man. The injuries are going to come, and you got to be able to have a nice deep bench with the running backs and be able to hit that waiver wire for sure. I guess, speaking of the waiver wire, we'll talk about that real quick, and then I'll let you go. What's normally your strategy on the waiver wire? Does it go team by team? Are you a guy that likes to kind of hold your money till the end? Because you're a high volume player, high stakes player. I'm the same thing. You don't want to blow it all in the first week or two. What are your thoughts?
It's really important, and I'm reckless with it. It depends, like what you're saying. The one year when all the Raven running backs went down, and I'm sitting there and I did a lot of drafting, and I had cuffed them with all 3 running backs even that year, and then I'm just looking there going, there's not a running back left on the team.
Right.
I can't play half the season. So that year I find myself just trying to jump on the next running back, and then they brought in the old guys that the running back that I thought the rookie was going to play didn't even play. So it's tough. If you're smart, you're going to hold on to your money. Try not to, even if it's a guy, I think you should never really spend more than 30% on a guy, even if you really super want him. Because if you load up, there's always another guy later in the 2-3 weeks down the road. If you load up a first part on him, you might not get one of those guys, and you might pick them all. You might have been ahead of the draft and get them before some other people thought about it. And a couple of those drafts are really cheap if you do a lot of them.
Yeah.
I would say the need will outweigh the money if you're really hurting though.
Bingo. And you said it right there at the end. The need outweighs the money again. So there's a couple things to consider. It's fun to draft all these teams like you and I do. I do around $60,000 worth of teams every single year or more. And so we've got a lot of teams. We have a lot of money invested, but we also, the downside to that, one of the downsides is we can't nurture and love these teams like we want. It's just like, hey, on the next team, on to the next team, on to the next team. And so sometimes we don't have the brain cells left to do waivers for 9,000 teams or whatever it is. I mean, you even get a guy like Chad Schrader, again, who's one of the best players of all time. A lot of these high volume players, they have people that help them with waivers because it can just, so all that to say, sometimes I tend to use my money early because I don't have, the brain power to grind waivers for every team.
It's one thing you said about using it early and having some peace of mind and just plugging in players by that point, but like, oh, the madness is over. Because I'll draft around 150 teams I'm going to have to manage, and then there's going to be best balls on top of that, 200 or 300. One year I think I drafted 750, 800 some teams.
Yeah,
for all of my drafting a couple years back. So I like to draft no matter whether it's a best ball or a tournament draft. I just want to be drafted pretty much. But you just got to put it out there and go with what you think and see what the season breaks down at the end of the year and see where you fall.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And again, and if you want a guy, regardless of how you decide to spend your money, if you want a guy, I say go get him. Like, nothing's worse than bidding on a player and being cheap about it and then not getting him, and then the player goes nuts. Like you can't take the money with you. You know, I'm not saying bid $900 on a player you think you can get for 80, but like, you know, that's go get your guy when it comes to that, because especially
if you're doing a couple teams, take a few risks.
Yeah.
Do what you want. You got to tend the team all year long. Make sure you're having fun and tending it right. If you're doing a few more than 5, 10, 15, take a few risks that you want to do and run something different. Take some gambles. If that team doesn't do nothing, then so what? You got your other ones that you got to have fun with. But you're not going to take down one of these tournaments playing it safe.
Right. No, I completely agree. So go get your guys.
Go get your guys. Have fun with it. And if your guys are the right guys, then you're after the right guys in the first place. And if they fall to you and your guys are there, by all means, take them.
Yep.
But the hardest part is every time that guy that you think is your guy, and you know the other guy's just as good, we'll use maybe like I don't know. I don't want to say compare too many of these guys' names and together, but two guys that are basically the same, but you prefer the one guy over and over, and then next thing you find out, it's not him, it's the other guy. And you should at least take a couple shares of him.
Diversify. That's right.
Sometimes you got to eat your own player that you want to take over everybody and just say, no, I'm taking the guy that I hate to take just because you got to spread it around.
Yeah, you got to diversify. I mean, you know, examples could be, I mean, I know you don't want to talk about players, but and people are drafting, they know. I mean, Spears and Pollard, you know, we talked about a little bit earlier about
if you would just grab Pollard the whole entire time, you never grab yourself a Spears, Pollard's a man, and then injury or what happens, you're gonna be why did I? The year that happened to me was Bobby Trees and Cooper Kupp, and I thought Trees was going to do the whole thing over there with him, and that didn't happen, and Kupp ended up being the guy, and I thought it went completely the other guy, and it was just like a 3 pick difference. One guy was going just 2 picks ahead of the other guy most of the time.
Yeah.
And I was just so convinced that the other guy was going to hit. So you got to open it up and sometimes just take that risk. Take the guy you don't like and do it.
That's a great point. Yeah, for sure. And we've talked about, you know, Chase Brown, Zach Moss, like all those different. A lot of times it's running backs, but that is a good point with the receivers there. But, dude, Fozzy, thanks so much for joining me. It's early in the season here, man. I'd certainly love to have you on again. Maybe when we get towards Vegas, maybe I'm sure we'll do plenty more of these drafts together. Thanks for jumping into the FFWC here. And yeah, so much fun. I would say, where can we find you? But you're not really on the socials. The places to find you is in draft rooms across the world, live drafts, online drafts. You're always in there, and it's always fun chopping it up with you, man.
You'll find me in a lot of these drafts, that's for sure.
That's right. That's right. Beautiful. So, all right, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Again, don't forget to jump in there, guys, and get those World Championship teams purchased and reserved.
I want to see all these guys in Vegas. You're going to have a great.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's going to be a great time in Vegas. Get in there, get those live teams, get those online teams. Lock in May Madness discount. It's $1,600. It's a $325 discount, man. Get in there. You guys get savings for every single draft that you guys lock in. So, and the great thing about the FFWC leagues is, man, these main events, they've got the 10K Dominator League prize. So if you win your league in total points and best record, you win $10,000 and you win your league, and the league playoffs are done. You automatically win and move on. I won one of those last year. Jack Colsheen and I co-owned a team together, and we won one of those, and it was huge. It's, you're almost, you're 9xing in your league prize. So, get paid for being the dominator, right? For winning your league and having the most points, right? So good.
Absolutely.
So good by the FFWC and Scott and Ian. So, yes, guys, jump onto the Discord. Fozzy's in the Discord too. But until next week, thanks for joining me, Fozzy, and we'll see you guys in the draft rooms.